Welcome back to Winning the Room. In this conversation, we're in with Adam Spencer, math genius, and we're talking about the relationship between math and human connection. Mate, so I was reflecting on times when I've been in your orbit before Sewn Hearts and Minds.
Okay.
So before I really knew you, I have been in your orbit, and I remember once Tropfest
Yep.
in the Domain,
Yeah.
absolutely bucketing down with rain,
Yep.
and then screen failure.
Yes.
Do you recall this?
Yeah.
Literally sitting at a short film festival and there are no short films.
Yeah.
And you then have to get up and continue to host.
Yeah.
Basically control and entertain that crowd. You did it incredibly well.
Oh, thank you.
So what do you do when things go wrong? Because that was a prime example and you nailed it. So what's going through your head when things go wrong like that?
Well, and the interesting one with that one, when something like that goes wrong, is you've then got no idea how long it's going wrong for. We might be here for 30 seconds. I can remember looking down and just seeing the stage manager, show caller, just continuing to do the expanding hands. Just keep stretching, mate.
Yeah,
Keep
draw it
stretching.
out.
I'm going, dude, should be obvious to you, I'm not trying to rush to the finish at this stage. What you need there is it helps if you've got a little bit of natural ability just to pad. You do know that the audience know the situation you're in, so there is a bit of leeway there, but you just have to have done the work in advance. You always do the work.
And what does do the work mean?
Covering for the worst case scenarios, just having enough stuff in the background that if this does go down, I can at least fill for 5 minutes here by thanking a few sponsors, reminding everyone what it's all about, how good are the films we've seen so far. Turn to the person next to you, maybe have a quick conversation about which one you liked the most, because during that silence, I'm going to race over here and go, right, okay, another 5 of that, okay, boom. And it's the same with anything. It's the same when you... On breakfast radio, or when I used to interview people, or at the Jays, you'd have a big film star coming in. Now, you hope the interview is just going to be one of those real fun ones that goes off into crazy places, right? You just don't know before she opens her mouth if she really is fun and wants to play, or is out on her feet because it's the 27th interview they've done it through and just wants to do it. So you do all the work for a completely acceptable straighty 180, do you do your own stunts, what was it like working with him type interview. You've got enough of that there so that if it all falls apart and they just clearly one-word answer will get through. Early on, you dangle something, and if, cool, yeah, you don't want to talk about stunts either? Let's talk about whatever you want.
Very cool.
But if you just go in going, mate, well, trust me, she seems pretty cool, we'll wing this, and she doesn't want to play, then it's absolute audio roadkill.
Yeah, right.
So you do the work, and not 19 times out of 20, that work you've done doesn't count for anything.
Yeah.
And that's cool because it's the 20th time that you realise that's why I did it the other 19. So same with my kids. We always get to the airport a lot earlier than we need to on the rear end.
You sound like me.
Yeah, when we travel.
My wife likes to slide in literally just as the boarding.
Dad. And then 6 months later, when there's been a crash on the M whatever, and we make it with 3 minutes to go because we were planning to get there 90 minutes early, that's why Dad makes you pack your bags the night before.
Right. So does this make you a prepper?
Yeah.
Do you have a bunker?
No, not a doomsday prepper in that sense, but you do. It is there. I do have a sort of philosophy of like, I summarize it: always pack your bags the night before.
Yeah.
Just do what you need to do beforehand, and then that gives you the freedom to be able to roll and either improvise or at least look really improvised when in fact you're going through stuff that you know quite well.
Yeah. I don't know. It sounds obvious. Prepare. Most people don't though, right? Because this is the question I get all the time.
Yeah.
What do I do if the wheels fall off? I lose my place. To your point, the person I'm dealing with, I don't know, goes somewhere else. Yeah. I didn't have that plan. What do I do?
Yeah. And so it is.
So why don't people prepare? It seems easy.
Yeah.
Why don't they?
Either people don't prepare or what they think they're doing as prep is not the effective prep. Some people just turn up and think they're going to wing it. There's a naivety in that that's beautiful. But a lot of people also do what they think is the prep. And the classic example that you and I get asked about all the time is public speaking. And everyone knows the old Seinfeld quote that, most people rate the fear of public speaking the greatest fear in life. They rate death second. And Seinfeld spun that and said, so at the average funeral, most people would rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy.
Yeah,
right?
It's a brilliant one.
What is that fear about? I've always said with public speaking, the fear is not when you're standing there and everyone's looking at you and, there's lots of eyes. I think the fear is it's unusual to have 8, 10, 15 minutes where the only thing you hear is your voice. And that's what's commanding everything. I think it's actually that discomfort. So I always say, if someone says to me, I'm ready to go, have you done the speech? And they say, mate, I've read it 10 times. Great. Have you read it out loud? Twice.
Yeah.
Go to woe, first word through to final word. Just for the familiarity with it, means if you do lose your place, you're more likely to remember, well, that's at the bottom of the second page or whatever it might be. Just the sheer muscle memory. All the science shows. You test people on something they've typed on a computer versus written by hand, they remember it better if they've written it by hand.
Yeah.
You test people on something they've read 50 times or read out loud twice, they will remember more what they've read out loud. It's just muscle memory and bake it in. I do in certain gigs that I do, if I'm hosting a big corporate event, and some of it is on the night, will be obviously just whatever is to do with the Radio Rentals annual salesperson of the year. But there are certain generic jokes that I've done a lot of times. This is a non-smoking venue joke that I will put up against any housekeeping joke that any MC in the world.
Let's hear it.
It's basically, I say, look, you can't smoke in this obviously non-smoking venue here in the ballroom. You can't smoke outside in the foyer. You can't smoke on the escalator area or in reception where you can. Look, if you want to have a cigarette tonight at the gig, the best thing to do is get up from your seat, head back through the doors out the back there where we are, turn right, go through the foyer, past the registration desk where you sign in, down the escalators, through escalators, turn left, you'll get into the foyer ballroom, head out there, turn right, you'll be on Johnson Street. About 70 metres down there to the left, there's a cab rank. Walk down Howard Cab, go to the airport, not domestic, international airport. Buy yourself a ticket to Bali. Once you're in Denpasar, fucking knock yourself out. And everyone goes,
yeah, it's good.
The only thing that changes every time I do that is the reference to Johnson Street.
Yeah.
For wherever we are in this hotel.
Localizing it.
Every time.
And that's key.
But every time before I do a corporate gig, I will read through the entire 15-minute opening stuff I'm doing about, but this is what we hear about, this is how the night's going to roll. I've said that joke 300 times publicly. I've read it 1,000 times privately. I can still read it, even though I know it word for word, just to lock the muscle memory in again. So it's the vast bulk of it is practice. I think there's different levels of ability you can get to, and there are some people who'll never be the greatest public speakers in the world, but everyone can get to their own level, which is considerably higher than where most people are operating. And the other thing that always struck me in the corporate world is you would see, you'd be at some massive event, and it's the chance for these execs to pitch to customers. And if this thing goes right over the next year, there's going to be millions of dollars of sales in this. And they come in 45 minutes before they present and go, just need to change a couple of things in my presentation. I've got a new presentation. And you're going, dude.
This is what I see in the corporate world all over. High consequence moments, no prep, and just walking in and hoping for the best.
And I appreciate,
happens all the time.
I appreciate CFO of major organisation. You're probably a lot busier than I am a lot of the time. But if this isn't in your top 5 things you're doing, how there wasn't someone in your orbit a week early to say, unless we need to release stock market sensitive information from the last 4 hours, we're locking it in a week out, we're doing it 3 times, then you're going to walk out and smash it.
Yeah. I always use the analogy when I'm trying to convince people to rehearse. It's like when you write an email or a document, you see it on screen, perfect, not a mistake. You print it out, 3 mistakes.
Yeah.
Like by magic, right?
Completely.
It's just that hard copy, soft copy, don't know why it happens, but that to me is the difference, right?
And also, when you're locked in the moment of doing something, it's like not spotting a misprint or whatever. You go back and read it a bit later. It's the same. You perform something, you do it, and it all seems to work. And then the next day, it'll pop into your head, hold it. If we do the European example first, the Australian example is going to make a lot more sense, isn't it? When we rehearse it again, let's swap that around. Yeah. If your only rehearsal is that morning with someone from comms in the front row who's written the deck for you, shouting, going, stop there. No, Michael, these figures are last year. So say 2024. Can we put a note on the screen down there for Michael, 2024, not 2020? Poor Michael's got a note.
How's anyone meant to do that?
But someone in Michael's orbit should have locked that in. So it's as boring as it is, practice. And then once you've got that sort of rigor around you, like I would have been a lot more nervous 30 years ago winging it in a corporate setting, but I've done it enough now that you've got enough battle scars that you've got that sort of infrastructure within and around you.
Mate, maths and comedy, they don't necessarily go together,
Come
do they?
on.
Like, is math funny? I certainly found my results funny, but
Yeah.
beyond that, like give me the math comedy background.
Okay, so, well, for me it is just a bizarre and reasonably unique mix. There's a couple of comedians out there who've got a little bit of maths chops, but not many. And there's not many professional mathematicians who are quite as funny as I am, let's be honest. But as I like to say, mate, in a room of randomly selected people, I'm a maths genius. In a room of maths PhDs, I'm as dumb as a box of hammers, right? I'm not, by any stretch of the imagination, I'm not an elite mathematician. I'm really good at explaining nice maths in a way that people who might be scared by it can understand, but I can't play in the same, sandpit as the great mathematicians. But the two things I'd say about it are, one, it is such a topic that intimidates people. If you can give them a bit of a realization about it, there's a real payoff. Or if I profess my own love to it, I make myself the butt of the joke. I do a reveal in my corporates at the moment. Now, stay with it. You're about to really freak out here. It's 2025, right? Is this year. 2025 is 45 times 45. Trust me on that. Pen and paper, you could work that out, right?
Okay.
Well, you could write
You've already gone beyond my skill set.
You've got
this. I'm just going to go with you on it.
Which you could write as 45 squared, because it's equals 2025. But 45 is 20 plus 25. 20 plus 25, square it. I bring this up on the big screen. 20 plus 25 in brackets squared equals 2025. I pause, I turn to the crowd, I go, that fills me with an almost sexual excitement. And they all laugh, and then I pause and I go,
yeah, I'm not joking.
I say, who am I kidding when I say almost? So I'm making myself the butt of the joke.
Yeah.
But the other connection between comedy and maths that people, my comedian mates don't realise is when they're planning an individual joke and certainly a 45-minute to 1 hour routine, that is all an algorithm.
All math, absolutely.
Joke here, joke
Timing,
here, joke here, stop. No, put that one. We'll do the reveal. Do that joke. Bring it back here. Not too early. It takes them about 30 minutes to forget it, so it's got to be at least that much. Bring it back here, finish, boom. It's always three guys walk into a bar, an Irishman is going, right, why? Someone does something. Someone does the same thing, leading you to think, well, everyone obviously does the same thing. Someone does something different. Now, if only two people walked into the bar, someone does something different. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
If 17 people walked into the bar.
That's ratios, I assume.
Yeah, and after 14, you'd be going, for fuck, just no. So there's a natural, the comedy of threes is a standard, within giving three examples, the third one's funny. The Irishman, the English.
We use threes all the time.
Yeah.
It's magical.
So there are certain sort of mathematical structures that can underpin things that make them in some ways not as different as you might think. But most mathematicians would agree algebraic topology, not inherently humorous.
Oh, yeah.
See, it's also the ability just to throw in random words that you don't understand.
Algebra, I can't even say the words, whatever. It's funny because I think about myself as an absolute math dunce, yet when I think about what we do in the office, presenting, pitching, in fact, we do think about maths. How likely is this audience to be accepting or pushing back on this information? Oh, it's about a 60%. Okay, well, then we need to tailor the presentation specifically.
How long's the presentation going to
Exactly.
be? We've
got an hour.
How many points are we trying to make?
Correct.
What's the right balance of speaking before we go to some audience questions? You want some video content? Can't play 3 videos in a row, mate. Let's stretch them out. Well, we've got 8 minutes of video in total. We'll trim one of those down. Yeah, absolutely.
So this is it's my absolute world. Fascinated by it. But, and again, obviously thinking about this conversation, actually math does play a pretty big role.
Yeah.
I mean, is it a universal language? Is it
Great question. Mathematics, yes. So
I knew you'd say yes, and I'm just going to call bullshit. Is it? Come on, it's not.
No, completely it is in many different ways. So if we went back and started again, if we rolled humanity back 200,000 years,
based on right now, I think we might have to.
If we went back 200,000 years and started again, some things would be massively different. Literature would be different. Film would be different. There'd be certain heroes' journeys and all that, but there would be no Mona Lisa. The Mona Lisa wasn't floating around there waiting for Leonardo to paint it. If he had not done that, it would never exist.
Yeah.
But if we went back and started again, our mathematics today would be exactly the same mathematics. There is only one mathematics out there that we're slowly stumbling through.
Yeah.
If we meet an alien civilization, they might speak a language we don't even understand. They might not communicate in sound. They might communicate in whatever. But if we could explain to each other 2, 3, 5, 7, they go, yeah, the prime number's cool, we've got that. That is universal. And so for me, that the beauty of it all is, because I think the essence of being human, and this is your whole thing's about storytelling.
Yeah.
Communicating, right?
Connecting.
Yeah. The essence of being human is if you went to another planet and there was moss and like fish, you'd go, that's unbelievable, right? There's nothing on that planet that realizes 3 + 5 is 8. We're like humans have a certain amount of grey matter bouncing around that we can look at the universe and go, what is going on here?
Huh.
Where did this come from? How does this work? What's going to happen next? And of all the languages we've got, art is beautiful, poetry is incredible. I love music. But the best language we have to look at the universe, to understand it, to explain it, to communicate it to each other, to try and predict what will happen next, absolutely mathematics. Absolutely mathematics.
So I love beautiful cars.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed my 6-year-old son the back of a 911.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell him it was a Porsche 911. I didn't say this is a beautiful car.
Yep.
He loves that car without being told, without anyone on TikTok saying, hey, Porsche's all about that.
Yep.
There's something about, I assume this is math as well, right? The curvature, the straight, like that's all. There's got to be something going on there mathematically.
Yeah, there's something about just that visual form that is tickling a part of his cerebral makeup.
But it seems to be universal.
Yeah,
everybody knows that's a beautiful
and that's the
rear end of a car.
And that's the interesting thing, isn't it? That culturally there are some things that are almost all universal. There are certain songs or sound progressions, and there are others that are so highly distinctive as to what connects with you and what doesn't. And sometimes our challenge as communicators is to find ways to bring everyone on the journey, or enjoy the fact that I know for the next few seconds I'm only bringing some of you on this journey, and I'm going to enjoy the discomfort that I know some of you are feeling. But don't worry, I'll come back and put my arms around all of you a little bit later.
And so do you think math explains, I don't know, Taylor Swift, Justin Bieber? Like these, I mean, I personally don't like either, but these musicians seem to cut through universally.
So
something must be going on with timing and rhythm.
Yeah, so my mathematical thing with that is it's all bell curves. Right? You remember the idea of the bell curve starts with flat peaks and then flats down.
Yeah.
And if you take a big set of things, they'll tend to correspond to a bell curve. Take 1 million people and measure how tall they are. If the average height is 170 centimetres, most people will be in and around that. It's not just a flat line of as many people at 190 as 100. It flattens out, right? And the vast bulk of things you measure follow a sort of bell curve. Height, cricket average test scores in women's test cricket or whatever, all follow bell. There's always got to be things at either end. So you put 1 million pop artists out there, someone just has to be up to the absolute top end of the bell curve, right? They just do certain things a little bit better. With the greatest respect to incredibly popular pop music, the vast bulk of the time looking, I don't get it.
No,
just
neither.
Doesn't tick with me.
But I'm fascinated by the mass appeal.
Statistically, there's got to be someone who's the most popular.
Yeah.
And these days, when you put marketing and stuff behind them, you can keep them there for a while. But mate, talk formulas. Listen to 6 Taylor Swift songs in a row.
Yeah.
They are, with the greatest respect to the way she...
Very close to each other.
Total.
Yeah.
Then he did this to me. Well, fuck you. Power ballad, power ballad, boom. Now to my next era.
Yeah.
And good luck to her.
But how do they stay up that end of the bell curve? Because I get it that, any given track, there needs to be someone or some track up the end. But how does someone stay up there consistently for decades?
Well, statistically, some people just will. There's enough churn.
So again, just statistically, someone has to be that consistent person.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, they will do certain things, and we're probably better and better these days at manipulating.
And they figured out the system, right? They've got the formula.
And in terms of maths, the amount to which, and I mean, I'm not saying that she doesn't write her own songs perfectly the way that come naturally to her, but the amount of statistics and analysis behind that sort of stuff. Certainly you look at your boy band
It's a machine.
phenomenon. I mean, that was the hilarious thing about things like Idol. They used to keep it secret how they created groups like One Direction and used to pretend, oh, we're just mates from college. And they came and said, actually, we're gonna show you how we make one.
I've watched that documentary.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
And you will be powerless to say no, girls. Try as hard as you want.
Yeah.
You will not be
the bad boy, the kid boy.
The one who's
the older weird one.
Ethnically a little bit different, and the guy who looks great in pants, and off you go. And bang, bang, bang. And it's that whole model is every year a new one comes out. You can flog that for a year before people lose all interest. So don't worry, because now we've got American Idol 57. And here's that. And that's that. The metrics, but that is all just mathematics at play.
Yeah. Now, I've seen you make very complex things simple.
Mm-hmm.
If there's something I love about your emceeing style, that would be it. There's many, but that would probably be the ultimate thing I love. And certainly at Stone Hearts and Minds, it's all about how do we make whatever, things that are quite complicated, mathematics, stats, you make it simple. But where's the line? Because I know from my own experience, if I go in and I get too simple with the information, really smart people go, yeah, but this is all the fluff. Like, where's the chart? Where's the numbers?
Yeah.
So how do you get that balance right?
It's a really good question. I think you have to have a knowledge of the subject where you could pitch at various levels, because you might need to respond, you might need to change, or you might, once you've spoken to the general group, be able to have a more detailed conversation with someone in a little bit more depth. But as a general rule, to the group as a whole, if you want to run the risk of being ever so slightly on the oversimplified or ever so slightly on the too complicated to understand, oversimplify. I used to, Brian Cox, the astronomer, does these massive shows now about the universe and all that. The first couple of times Brian came to Australia, I hosted it with him. He now does it with a comic mate of his. They go around the world. And Brian's shows are incredible. I do think he errs on the side of being a little bit complicated. I would always say to him, mate, pitch it at a level where everyone in the room gets almost all of it, because the few people sitting in that room who are going to go, I understood all of that, I don't think their reaction is, so why did I waste their thing on the way home is, fucking how smart am I? I understood everything that Brian Cox said. Now, in certain professional circumstances, if you then want to sign a contract with someone, you have to display an understanding.
Yeah.
But when I'm pitching to an audience, I'd rather bring the vast bulk of the audience along, and I'm lucky enough that the way I do it, so when I'm talking AI to a crowd, and I may well have some people in the room who've literally never hopped on ChatGPT and done anything, all the way through to some people in the IT department there who are designing their own bespoke small language models for the organisation. I'd rather bring ChatGPT person, never used it before person along, where they understand pretty much everything I'm saying, and the IT nerds have a good giggle, but realise in the way I've framed the discussion, it was never really going to be all about them, than have them learn a few things and person who's never used the technology early on. And the other critical filter I run it through is, except in maths, which is really my ballpark, I'm lucky that I don't actually have that many things that I have been professionally trained in knowing all that much about myself. So when I'm interviewing someone on stage and I'm asking them questions,
they're real questions.
Yeah, I'm.
That's exactly how I feel, man.
I am very lucky that my default is at the level that a curious, reasonably intelligent person in the room who knows nothing about the subject would be quite happy to have it explained to them.
I totally relate with that.
Yeah.
In almost all settings.
Yeah.
And I think people find that engaging because you are truly interested, right? Naivety is bliss. It's
And you're more likely as an audience member to struggle if you think, if the person on stage is so deeply into the issue themselves, the interviewer is such an expert on it, they're conducting an interview at a level where, well, what about the S97 principle? Blah, 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 and they don't stop to go, just give me a second. For those of you who've never heard of that, the S97, that's more of a challenge. That's more of something that can go wrong, I think.
Yeah. And do you think about little things you can do to demonstrate that, hey, this is just the tip of what we're talking about? There's actually a lot under the surface that I know.
Yeah.
So what are the little sort of, I don't know, tells or symbols or word selection? Do you think about that?
I think you can explicitly say it. Or you can,
Right, okay.
you can certainly say, look, as much as I'd love to really go deep
Interesting.
on
Yep.
... let's do this. I have one where I flip as well. I love asking if there's a really complicated sounding concept, right? So your PhD was in retinal deficiency in HPVAC polymer chain glutamase. Now, obviously, I understand that entirely. Hypothetically,
Yeah,
if
if
I
you had to explain it.
hypothetically, if I was an idiot and had no idea anything I had just read then,
Yeah.
can you explain it to me?
Yeah.
And the other phrase I sometimes use when there's something complicated we're going to unpack is I'll say the phrase. I was talking the other day about this. It was an event where there was 2 people panel. I was hosting it. We were going to discuss the comparative advantages of low-code versus no-code computer architecture, specifically with regards to cybersecurity. And the phrase I use is, I think like most of you, I understand every word in that sentence, but they have been placed in an order to render them meaningless to me.
That's great.
Let's try and unpack.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, so I don't think there's anything wrong with, as the host or the MC or the interlocutor, making it clear to the audience, I know as little about this stuff as you. I'm you on stage.
Yep.
I'm just asking, hopefully, the questions that you will want to ask. The other thing I'll always do is if I'm doing something where questions are allowed from the audience as well, especially if they're coming through a Menti or a Slido or anything like that, I've never understood the hosts who just park the tablet there, ask all their own questions, and go, okay, now for the last 10 minutes, let's go to some audience questions. And that's the first time they've picked it up and either realized, wow, the audience wanted 5 or 6 questions on something you guys touched on, or there are no audience questions, or there's 7,000 of them I probably shouldn't have. I'll always have that thing on my lap, and I will fuse audience questions seamlessly.
Yep.
They're a great guide. They're the best cheat sheet an MC can host for in terms of what level to pitch something at, how to make the complex understandable, where's the audience at on this journey, well, what are they asking?
Yeah. Something I find very powerful, and it annoys people, but I think it's very powerful. I start meetings with, take me back to the very beginning and literally sock puppet this out for me. Imagine I knew nothing. Why are we in this room? What are we really trying to achieve? Go back to the absolute beginning.
Yeah, great.
And most people actually struggle to unpack and go, actually, why are we here? Wait a sec.
Yeah.
And it's actually...
That's part of the process for them.
Yeah, exactly. That's sort of, I don't know, claiming to be dumb or just basically saying, imagine we knew nothing. Why are we here again and what is the outcome we're looking for?
Yeah.
Often we forget that, especially in corporate sense, because we're just so busy with the next thing,
in my experience,
the next meeting.
Often if someone prefaces something with, just excuse me for a minute, this might be a really silly question.
They're the ones. Yeah.
It's almost always not a silly question. And the fact that you thought it might be goes to what the actual, it's not at all silly to ask, why do we do it that way? Actually, that's a really good question.
And I think the reason people don't do it is because they feel like it's a deficiency or, well, I should know. It's almost like, you've met someone so many times you can no longer ask their name.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, geez, I'm the senior vice president of the blah, blah, blah. I can't ask a foundational question. I need to know these things.
And I think another really powerful tool there, and when you're trying to break down complexity info, is to empower people to try and take the opposite position. So what would your critics say on this? Or what would the opposition be? Or if you weren't allowed to do it this way, and getting people to inhabit a different space. And I have one I love with, whenever I interview scientists, there's one question I always try and ask, however complex their field is, and it's there are some things in your field that are, and this, I asked this one recently to a woman who's into the cosmology of the sun and all that sort of, and it was, there's certain things in your field that are pretty much established. There are other things that are totally fringe and out there. If I was to get a group of 50 of your scientists together, what's the topic that's going to get you walking out into the car park to have a fight? What is it that just breaks your industry down the middle?
Yeah.
And in whatever people's expertise is, especially in the sciences, there will be fundamental questions, like in artificial intelligence, will we get to a generalized intelligence or not? That's a shirts off, let's go outside type question for some people. And however nerdy it is, it'll be, okay, Did phytoplankton diverge from mesoplankton, Or are they a unique species? Wow, tell me, why does that matter? And which one do you believe? And if I believe the opposite, what? And just get inside whatever. Where is the conflict in the position you're holding or the issue you're discussing? As an outsider, I might not know what it is.
Yeah.
Walk me to that, and then let's work with that.
Thanks for listening to this episode. It's a really important conversation that needs to happen, and you can find us anywhere where you get high-quality podcasts. If you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did, make sure you check out the next episode.